Oh, hey there, welcome to Creative Crusade, my ongoing art journey. This is lesson 6, and it gets quite technical and complicated here. A lot less organic, as you'll discover from our previous lessons. To start off with, as always, you should have watched Uncomfortable's videos on these, because he is the primary source, I am just a secondary source. And you are also allowed to use rulers, ellipse guides, French curves, and you're allowed to use these kinds of things. So, because it's such a technical exercise, you can try to freehand ellipses, which, it's not the best. You can do it. It's just really difficult. So to start off with, we're going to start off with a more simple shape, which would be this kombucha bottle. Then we'll move on to a more boxy shape. So how I would start off with this is you want to encapsulate what you're trying to draw in a box, because that's its simplest form. And this is how you use your perspective tool. So here we can see this in this kombucha bottle. It's just, you can place a box around it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just gonna, just like in the 250 box challenge, draw a box. That was terrible. Here's the top of my box up there. Maybe thin it out a little bit. Here's the other top of my box, maybe right there. Ghost the lines, connect them. And as always, draw through. You can see part of this plane. So I messed this box up a little bit, that's okay. I didn't really do a very precise measurement, so I could either fix it now, which I'm gonna do, or move on to have an improper box. So something on there. Probably bring this over. It's not gonna be that much better, but it's gonna be better enough. Anyway, so just gonna ignore this line. So now we can fit our entire object inside this box. And so I'm going to define a point somewhere along this box where the neck of the bottle is and where it starts to taper into that neck, and also the cap. So about, I don't know, I'm just determining the length of it first, not necessarily the placement. So maybe the cap is about this long on the box, and maybe the neck goes all the way down to here. And where the neck starts to taper, probably around there. So I can take these points. Oh, and that's another thing what I should have done is that you can use this ruler, which makes your lines much more precise. I'll do that for the next one, but I'll use it right now for this. And I'm just marking these out. I'm going to take this part here, bring it back along this box. Basically, I'm just drawing a line around this box. And again, I should be using this ruler just because it's more precise. So essentially, I've taken my see-through box and drawn a line all around it. And the reason I did that is so that now I can draw, it's just like that, the ellipses in planes exercise. You're creating a plane in space, and then you're going to draw an ellipse in there, because I'm going to take the part of that neck that starts to taper on here and put it in this. I'm also going to draw the bottom of the bottle as well. And it's just like that ellipses in planes exercise. And now I can connect these two with the ruler because it's easier. More precise, prestigious. And now I have a cylinder. And now I'm going to take another cylinder, or I'm going to put another cylinder right here where that neck goes, or the neck of that bottle. So essentially just do the same thing. And this is where it gets a little bit trickier. That's probably not right, but it's okay. Something like that. It's not right at all. at all. Let's go ahead and connect this correctly. So now, let me reinforce this so you can actually see what I'm trying to do here. All right, so this plane here, these 4 sides, is a plane within this box. And as you can tell, our neck of the bottle is much smaller, but it's still contained within this box. So, and we don't want it to be the same size as this. So how we can do that? So we can subdivide this. So subdividing is, say we have a square, which, I mean, Uncomfortable explains this as well, so you should already know what this means, but I'll go ahead in case you haven't. So to subdivide something, we're just taking this plane we have, and we're going to draw things like that. Or rather, this isn't really subdividing, but finding a measurement within that to, like, it's similar to subdividing. But so I want a smaller shape, same shape as this, that's smaller inside of this. So how I can do that is I can take a line, decide where along here that I want one side's length to be, draw that, and then just connect these all around where they intersect with these diagonal lines. And then you just connect it all, and now I have that shape that I want that's smaller inside of this bigger shape, which is, that's what we're going to do here, but it's, this plane is just tilted in space. So we go ahead and find those 2 corners, and it's really hard to see, but now I can take this, make a smaller ellipse, or a smaller shape inside that shape. Maybe it's like from here to here. Oops, so that's right there. So from here to there. From here as well to there. And it's really distorted, so it's hard to see what I'm doing. But I've essentially just done this in there, and now what I'm going to do is just connect it all with an ellipse, just like that, but on this plane that's tilted. Alright, so that's poor, but now I have that smaller ellipse that I was trying to get, which is the bottle of the neck. Now I can connect these by either freehanding it or like using an ellipse guide or French curves, those things. But I'm just going to freehand it for now because it's quicker. Whoops, that's really bad. That's okay. Something like that. Now the cap, which is essentially doing the same exact thing, but there and making it bigger. So I'm just going to kind of fudge it here and just kind of guess for the sake of time, because I already explained what I was doing. Anyway, there's our kombucha bottle. It looks terrible, but that's how you do cylinders in planes. So let me go ahead and explain that just once more. So say we have a plane like this, and we're trying to put an ellipse inside of our box shape. To do that, like say we have this plane here that's in 3D space, so it's distorted. To find an ellipse inside of this plane, again, you're just going to connect these diagonal corners or whatever, and then you're just going to follow these perspective lines and essentially find where these perspective lines are a little bit in to where you want it to be, like say there. And just go around, following the perspective lines, of course. Where these lines intersect, that's where your new shape is, within this shape. And then you can just draw an ellipse within that. Now you have your ellipse within your shape. So that's essentially what we're doing there. So let's go ahead and move on to a more complicated one. All right, so let's do this battery I have. So for this one, this is much more of a boxy shape, and it's got a couple rounded edges that we can get into. For these rounded edges, so first, of course, you're just going to encapsulate your object. And another bonus challenge you can do part of this is to try to imagine the form in a different perspective, which is quite difficult to do sometimes. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do here, just to make it so it's a little bit easier to see. So maybe I got it at this angle rather than that angle. Alright, so now we have our box shape. Now let's go ahead and round off these corners here. So how I would do that is, first I'm going to subdivide this, connecting our edges or corners, whatever. Then we're going to decide, okay, how far over do I want these edges by looking at our reference. And it looks like it's a pretty symmetrical round shape, so it's probably going to be somewhere like there. So I'm going to draw a line here and here. This is what's pretty cool, is now I can take either the top or bottom of this line I just created and pull it through and draw a line through the center from there, and that'll tell me exactly where within this 3D space that equal width is on the other side of this. And it's a pretty neat little mathematical trick. Maybe not quite like that, a little over more right there. So that's where vertically my curve is going to start, and we can do that the other orientation as well, like this. And because it's basically a very even circle, it's going to be like a square shape. And you can draw that through, pull that through the center, connect that there. Now we have our two edges of where our curve will be. And you can even go a little more geometric and connect these with just a line to kind of help you guide you a little better for when you try to curve that. And again, you can use those guides if you want. I'm just going to freehand it here. So maybe it's like that. And it should be a little more that way. Then we can do the same back here. And in fact, since we already did the math here, we can just pull this line through with our perspective. And then that'll just carry over pretty nicely. Tell us where our 2 points are along this. This looks a little bit off. Let's see, what's the problem here? I think it's this line. There's something wrong here. I'm just going to roll with it. And just connect that. Do the same back here. And we actually don't have to deal with that bottom part because you don't see it. Now let's go ahead and get that little trench cut out. And how I do that, since it's in the exact center, it looks like, we can do the same trick we did here to find the center. So of the top plane, that is. Just draw those diagonal lines. And to find the center, you're just going to draw a line in this perspective through that. Oops, went a little too far. So there's our center. So either we can, to be more precise, we can do what we did here and just to draw a shape to there or something. Or for more less precise details and stuff, you can just kind of guess. So let's go ahead and just kind of guess a little. Maybe right there and there. A little further out. All right. Connect those two like this. And we can see the trench doesn't go all the way, so it ends somewhere about here. So I'm just going to draw a line across that, like so. And now I can pull this down because it goes down a little bit, so connect that and draw that corner because we can see it. All right, so that's a quite simple shape to kind of cut out and manipulate. So now we can reinforce our line weight to really show you what we're actually drawing, because the lines get so messy. to really show that our trench ends right there. Just reinforce the lines that matter, basically. And then, if you have a brush pen, which I would suggest getting for these exercises, you can draw in a cast shadow, and that's pretty cool. And I'm just going to kind of imagine one here. Maybe it comes out like, make sure you include that curve of the edges. Comes out to like here, maybe. So something like that. And I like to just outline my shadows. And then just fill it in with a brush pen. And then you just fill it all in. I like to go for the edges first just so I can avoid that bleeding over by accident. And there you have your cast shadow. And you can go into more details. Again, you can add textures and all that stuff. It gets really complicated and takes a lot of time if you do that. But that's how you do some really basic shapes. Again, watch Uncomfortable's demo videos. Those are very insightful. But yeah, I hope this helped you in some way. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.